Alright, welcome everybody to episode 12 of 4NZGamers. We are for the gamers. You don't have to be from New Zealand. If you happen to find yourself watching this from anywhere in the world, hopefully you're enjoying it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what I guess we're going to present to you. Hopefully some interesting topics. So, how about we kick off with Jimmy?
My topic.
Yeah, go.
Alright, so I wanted to put censorship in gaming on the table. I don't want to ask a question, I just want to put it on the table, and what do you guys think about it? Censorship in gaming. Obviously, growing up and all that stuff, it's changed, and games have evolved, and we also have a different censorship/rating system to Australia, our neighbour. What do you guys think about this?
We have a better one.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
I think we're very lucky.
Yeah, we are.
Considering how angry the Australians get when things get cut and they get different versions of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Australia have a much stricter rating system compared to New Zealand.
Very strict.
So it gets to the point where for us to get certain games, we have to either get them imported in from other countries. Australia get to the point where they won't sell the game at all, or it won't get released, or it gets banned in Australia.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about censorship in general? Like, is there a place for it?
I think if there's a rating system, the rating system is the censorship.
Mhm.
So I don't see why you need to do, how in some games they were cutting out things or blurring things or, putting the old blank square, a black square over something. I think that's too extreme. I think the rating system works for us. It should, it's obviously there to protect kids.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
But, what really kind of annoys me is, in theory it's supposed to protect kids, but in practice it doesn't.
No.
Because I teach, and the kids I teach, 14, 15, 16, are playing R18 games. I know
Yes,
they
they
are because we talk about it, and and they tell me about the games they're playing, and it's like, well, clearly, the parents are not policing that. They're just thinking it's a game, and
Yes.
they're thinking that's fine. It's just for kids, but they're obviously not looking at the rating system. So,
No, they just don't care.
if that's the case, what's the actual point of even having a rating system then? If no one's really gonna, abide by it.
Well, I think gaming, and it's starting to fade now, but I think gaming still has that kind of stigma that it's for children.
Yeah.
Now, in our generation, it's slightly changing a wee bit, but you're definitely right that a lot of the kids, their parents aren't policing this stuff, and that's what the rating system's there for. Especially because I work in retail, the amount of parents that have bought Grand Theft Auto for their kids, and we've had to turn down people. Parents get really shocked.
Oh, you do? You actually turn them down?
Yep, we turn them down.
That's great.
There's massive fines if you do sell that stuff. Rules and regulations.
So how do you do it? You only know that if they're there with the kid?
Okay, so the rules are that only the parent can hand their game to the counter. Now, if we have an inkling that it is for someone, we ask them, and if they say yes, we can sell it to them. If they say no, it's for my kid, then we have to say no. Or if the kid comes up to the counter, hands it up, we can't sell it at all. And even if the kid hands it to the parent, and the parent gives it up to the counter, we can't sell it.
What do the parents say?
Wow, it's like alcohol.
Yeah, it is, if you think about it. And
I didn't realise it was there.
I've had conversations and almost arguments with parents as well. They don't get it. And the best way I can put it to them is it's like giving alcohol to a minor. And then if that doesn't get through to them, it's like watching porn in the room while your child's sitting next to you.
Yeah.
So
You've used that in store?
I have, yes, I have. And you should see a lot of parents who don't know, they'll tick over, or they'll see it in their eyes, or they'll go, oh, but he's got all the other Grand Theft Autos. And if you played the latest Grand Theft Auto, it puts the others to shame.
Yeah.
Were the ratings R18 on the older ones?
Yeah. I'm
Yes,
pretty
they
sure
were. Every single Grand Theft Auto has been R18.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's
I don't know if you played the older ones. Of course you guys play the older ones, but the ones now, Rockstar keep pushing the boundary.
Yeah, well, because they were risque back then, and so they have to keep pushing the ladder,
Exactly.
and now it's just gone beyond,
But do you guys think it's too much, though? With what they're going with gaming and stuff. Like, putting the rating thing aside, do you think this is, when can it get too grotesque?
Well,
Too much sex, or
it's
not enough
It's in the
sex,
game, but
we're starting to get full frontal penis in games now.
Oh, really?
E.g.?
Rust.
So Rust
Rust has penises.
there's some in GTA 5 apparently.
Was it? I never seen them.
Oh, well, I thought that as well. One of my mates was saying before I came over, yeah, there's full frontal penis.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure there is actually. I think there. I don't really remember, but there'll be a scene with Trevor for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't just deliberately spend hours trying to find it, or?
Oh, actually, yeah, I just finished the game recently, and I think there might have been a full frontal scene with Trevor, or at least something very close.
Yeah, there's some pretty hardcore stuff with Trevor where he's
yeah.
like raping somebody or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Right, okay. What do you think?
I'm trying to figure out why have rating system at all. I mean, we've got a society which is, everything is so bloody rule orientated. I'm trying to think. I'm sitting here thinking, why do we need a rating system for games? I mean, I understand the principle behind it, because not every child knows the difference between what's right and wrong, and that comes from parents, and I don't want to get into parenting and all that.
Mm-mm.
So I think it's a good thing that there are some standards, but I don't know. I don't know if it's universal between countries or not. I don't know.
Yeah, it clearly isn't.
No, that's the thing. It's not.
I'm just sitting here thinking, if what does it actually do for kids having a rating system? I mean,
It's definitely there for protection, but let's flip it on the other side. Because of what we play, the games that we play, are you going to police your children?
I would.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I wouldn't let my kids play Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah,
for example.
No.
Because my parents gave me free reign. I was able to play whatever I wanted at a young age. It made me feel more mature that I got to choose, but I would probably police my children.
To some degree, though, it depends on their age as well. Because remember when we were younger, we used to go up the road and just get R18 movies. And how old would we have been? Like 9?
No, we weren't that young.
Oh, we weren't that young? Maybe 12.
No, I don't think we were that young. Maybe 13, 14.
Oh, okay. I seem to remember us being quite young. But even still, 12 or 13, right? And those R18 movies didn't necessarily harm us or our development. But I think we're intelligent enough to be able to watch an R18 movie and not want to go and emulate what we just saw happening on the screen.
Oh, I know, yeah. That takes
So would we have that same sort of philosophy for our children, say when they're 12 or 13? Would we then be like, okay, Grand Theft Auto is now probably okay for you? And you do it on a case-by-case basis. Like if your kid was a psychopath, you'd be like, you maybe give it a couple of years. But
How would you know? It's like, yeah, my kid's a psychopath.
He's at the back
You can
torturing the
tell.
cat. And
yeah. He's like,
You can
fucking,
tell, yeah.
like got the magnifying glass on the ants and shit. You're like, yeah, no.
We'll just leave that a few years.
You keep finding the cat in the dryer, and you're like, okay.
But going with movies though, like I remember watching on TV, Arnie's Predator, the first Predator.
Yeah.
Now that was the first time I saw the movie, and then I think only recently I got it on Blu-ray, DVD, watched it, and there were scenes I had not seen. Or not even recently, a couple years after watching it on TV, I watched it again, and it wasn't censored. So what was the point in censoring it in the first place? Also, I feel that kind of restricts creativity for the director, the people. Like, who's to say what I want to create, that what I create, and then you come along, it's like, no, you can't show that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
There's a rating system in place for that.
Who are the guys that do South Park?
Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
They were really pissed off with the censorship that happened with South Park game for all the different
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah.
localizations of that game around the world or whatever.
Australia again.
Yeah, and like we didn't get to see a whole bunch of different scenes, like the anal probe scene and stuff like that.
I got to see that.
Yeah, it's not in the consoles, but you can get it on Steam with it.
Oh yeah, but I
Steam
couldn't
you
see
can
it
get.
in the console version. We just get a little picture coming up saying, "Sorry, you weren't able to see this scene due to bullshit
yeah.
censorship ratings in your country.
Yeah.
Really sorry." But Trey and Matt themselves have spoken about how it just pissed them off that they work so hard to make these jokes and to make this thing work, and then they can't actually get it to their audience.
Yeah.
And for what frickin' reason?
yeah. So isn't that the argument? So who puts a politician in charge of saying what's right or wrong for you to see? I mean, I don't get that, and I'm sitting here really trying to figure this out, because who says what's right or wrong for your child to see?
The argument is almost pointless now, ever since the internet came into the home.
Well, exactly.
Because, as far as I'm concerned, you can see the most depraved shit if you want to.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't take much.
It's
a
not
few
hard to
clicks,
find it.
and you can see the most depraved thing you'd ever see. In fact, stuff you'd probably be, even as adults, it would probably scar us. You know? And yet, we're worried about these other things. You know, essentially it comes down to choice.
Well,
And you've got to make people responsible for their choices.
Yeah.
The rating system's there as a legal thing.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's up to the parents then to decide from there whether they want their kids to watch it or not.
Isn't it a bit reversed? So kids these days are exposed to lots more violence and more accessible violence, you know, wherever you go. Phone, it's on the news, it's everywhere. But if you look at us growing up in the 80s, you were not as connected, yet we could watch videos that had more violence than today without even those restrictions. So it's sort of like there's more PC bullshit these days, restricting what you can and can't watch.
It's a lot of backpedaling to
and
protect kids.
and not giving you the control over that, what is right or wrong for your own children or for your own self.
Yeah.
That control's been taken away from you from a higher level.
Yeah.
And it's breaking down creativity in some ways because you can't see the content that was originally made.
And what's the point in putting an R18 sticker on something, which is basically your way of saying this is only safe for people who are over the age of 18, so we're all adults, we can make our own freaking decisions and we shouldn't be restricted. But then they go and censor something anyway. And it's like, huh? That's not R18. You've basically made it M-rated now, or you've made it R60. You've not made this open to everyone above that age bracket, who you then... You know, because we're all adults. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. They have a guideline. They have a certain thing they have to measure.
And I thought art was supposed to not be censored. You know, like on the stage, nothing is censored. You can go and see somebody performing a play with no clothes on, talking out of their vagina, and using rape jokes. And there's actually a play that was in Auckland recently that was literally exactly that. And they can't censor that because it's art. Is a video game not art?
I think it is.
I think it is. I think it's at least a form of.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, eh?
It's crazy.
It's a very interesting topic, you know? Like, it's just bizarre that
you can go back and forth for ages, but I find it really... I find it really important for us because I feel like we've grown up in a bit of a struggle of the rating system, and especially with the games getting even more violent, more grotesque, nudity and stuff like that in games. But also, like you were saying, if something is stickered R18, like that should be okay. Like this game is R18. We've warned you. This is what you're going to get. Now,
if you're not 18 and you're watching the game,
yeah,
they need to look at the systems that are in place that failed, so that this person under that age limit was watching this thing in the first place. And who's to blame there? Because we shouldn't all have to suffer for that stupid parent who enabled their kid to do that.
I sometimes look at the rating system, and you have to look at society, at rating systems. And you look at your society and you think, well, okay, why is R18 R18? So what is in R18 that categorises it as restricted to 18? Is it because our society doesn't like nudity? I mean, we're just obscene. We all are nude in our own self. So why is that something that kids can't comprehend? It should be something I reckon they should be, you know, that's something that people should talk more about.
Yeah, it is sort of overly
so
taboo.
I think the people that set these rules are in a different genre of society. They're the bygone society.
Yeah.
It's a different way of thinking, and unfortunately, it's the same with our politicians. They're in a backward set of society where their thinking is old school.
Yeah.
I think, although the rating system is great, I think something has to transform a little bit. It needs to be a bit more forward thinking about how the rating system works. If you drop the rating system, there can be something else that you put in place. You know, maybe it's ask the parent, what do you feel is comfortable with your children watching? You know, this is the content in this game. Do you want to authorise us to purchase this game? You sign this, then we give you the game.
And some games
parent
actually,
takes responsibility.
I think there are some games that actually have certain modes in them though, like where you can go into a parental thing and
yes, they do.
and
So yeah,
adjust it.
That's what they should have.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of those things. So like games like Call of Duty, they have like you can turn the blood on or off, or there's specific scenes that you don't want to, scenes or stages that you don't want to see. So I think it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. They had an entire stage where you, as a Russian, you rushed through and you slaughtered a whole bunch of civilians.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of was the creation of the story, or the campaign. And they give you the choice whether you wanted to see that level or not. And there was a big uproar. But what I liked about it is that it pushed the envelope. the Activision, was it Activision? Activision?
Yeah.
Activision team, they wanted to put that in.
Yeah.
But also gave the choice if you didn't want to. But it caused a big uproar. But what I don't like is that a lot of, especially in the media, in the news, they talk about how games like this, you get points for killing these people. You don't get any points for that. It's a completely optional level. They say things like Grand Theft Auto is a game where the aim of the game is to rape prostitutes and rah, rah, rah. It's not the aim of the game. You guys gamers, you know exactly what these games are about.
There's no point in the story that forces you to do any of that.
Exactly. So I hate that games get a bad rap from the media for things like that.
It's
And then it's real easy to
It's
blame.
ignorance.
It is pure ignorance here by the media.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to go down the road shooting people after playing Grand Theft Auto, then you've got some parenting issues. And I think there's some issues in the household that need to be addressed, because I've played games all my life and I don't go around shooting people or raping people or, you know.
Individual cases,
there we
so,
know.
yeah. But since we're going on to that, I did want to put up, like, my girlfriend was saying to me that the police now in New Zealand are now able to carry around tasers. Right, so I kind of took that as like, oh, does that mean the general public are getting more violent? And there's many more things, but in terms of bringing it into gaming, do you guys think that gaming
More
makes
tasers?
people more violent?
Makes people more violent?
Or it could be could contribute to violence? I don't think so.
I would have
but
think so. I'd see it, if anything, as a release
yes,
for people that had that urge to say, well, fuck, I feel like killing people, why don't I just go on GTA and do it?
No, I don't think so. Because the reverse could be said. If you play lots of flying games, are you more likely to go fly? I mean, if you're playing more violent games, does that mean you're going to be more violent in society? You could say the reverse with other sort of games, you know what I mean? I don't think so.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm just imagining him like being like Superman, and he's like, "Man, I'm gonna go do this."
well, then,
I think the only thing it does do is it can desensitize people a little bit.
Yes.
And
Well,
yeah.
You know, and what it does is it creates, like, so I think of the kids at my school and how they, you know, we'll watch things on TV or we'll watch a movie or whatever, and something violent will happen or something, and you can see sometimes they'll laugh, or sometimes they'll do the opposite reaction as to what's actually intended. You know, I'll be sitting there going, this is, like, we watched Ones for Warriors recently.
Yeah.
And the scene, you know, and not all the kids did this, but a couple of them did. You know, Beth got hit for the first time by Jake, and she got thrown up against the wall, and someone laughed. You know, I don't know if it was out of nervousness.
Yeah, sometimes it's too real.
But that was the thing. It was too real. It was almost like they couldn't quite distinguish, you know, that it was supposed to be serious.
Or maybe they didn't want to, because, I mean, it's too real for them.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to go there because it reminds them of something in their life, or it's something that they know is close to them in their life, like maybe a friend or a family member. And it's just like, oh, I don't know, I'd rather laugh at something like this. No, keep it lighthearted, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just think kids are a little bit, especially with YouTube and, you know, we're living in the age now where they're watching a lot of what they're actually watching is reality, when you think about it. But they're watching people, you know, ride bikes off ramps into lakes, and they're watching people get kicked in the groin, and they're watching people jumping off the roof into pools and smashing their face on the side of it, and it's all comical, but it's actually reality as well. Someone's actually genuinely being hurt, but they're getting entertained by it. And they're being entertained by things that, quite frankly, are not entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, they shouldn't be entertained by it, because it's actually kind of...
because
It's trivial, cheap, laugh type stuff. It's, you know, and it's almost downgrading entertainment, you know? It's really eroding what we would actually call entertainment. That I don't know.
It is interesting, because if you were there when you saw a friend trying to do something and it went wrong, a fail, and you would run in to help them. You would not be standing there pointing and laughing. But as soon as it's on YouTube in a compilation, you're pissing yourself at all these stupid idiots who are hurting themselves left, right and centre.
But bringing it back to the video game thing, I just think, you know, they play these games and... You deal with some pretty extreme stuff now, you know, and pretty adult type contexts, and I just wonder if the kids, I just wonder how they're processing that stuff. You know, if they're really actually, because we look at it and we go, oh yeah, I understand this Lara Croft is being beaten here, but it's because it's to show she's going to come back, she's a survivor and all that kind of stuff. The kid doesn't see that. He just sees a woman getting beaten. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they see something different. They don't have the intellect at that stage to understand fully what's happening. You know what I mean, and that's the rating system. That's what I worry about. Is that it's
So is this a problem sort of that's inherent in the game itself, that we play games for like the purposes of gaming, like the mechanic of it and the fun of it, but developers are trying to be more creative and actually put more of a narrative in there and more of a story and a journey, which is kind of in some ways at conflict with it.
The problem is the games themselves are more mature, for us.
But people aren't necessarily playing them for that reason.
But younger people are playing what I would perceive as our games. They're not for them, not yet anyway. You know what I mean? That's what worries me.
In terms of from what you were saying, if you look at the evolution of games as well, like we're in the generation of the Sega Master System, the Atari, all these Sonic the Hedgehog, Alex the Kid. We've all grown up. We're the market. The average market for people, like, and why? Because we can buy these games. A child can't. So I think that's why we have a lot of these mature kind of adult games, because we can pay for them, where a child would have to ask their parent.
And people like us have actually entered the industry as well, who grew up with these games and want to see more from the genre, from this medium, and we're making better games as well. So it's all of these things combined.
Wow.
I just think there needs to be more education.
More education, yes, definitely.
That's it in a nutshell. Really,
yeah.
When you think about it, when we go back to the argument of censorship and you worrying about not having ratings and stuff, end of the day, it's education. If the parents understand
It comes
what the games are and just what they can do, I guess. And we're not even saying they're going to turn violent, but just psychologically for their development. They don't need to see that stuff just yet or whatever. There's nothing wrong with just not showing them yet. That's all it is. It's just delaying it really until they're.
But society's culture of norm, what you class as normal, what society classes as normal, comes from what we instill into our children. So, the concept of what is normal at this table is that we have a rating system and children can't play violent games. In other societies that might be different because of their understanding. Maybe they grow up with a lot of violence.
Well, a child that's born in Africa that's given a gun at like 8 years old and told to kill someone else, their concept of violence is very different.
Yes.
In fact, it's a normal part of their life.
That's right. So a lot of this goes back to the society you live in and what is culturally normal. Now, if we were talking about violence and ratings in America, where guns are freely available and they don't want to address the problem, another issue, this might be a different story where, giving a game to a younger child, which has a lot of gun violence in it, may be onset to some future violence where guns are freely available, and I'd be very worried in that sort of society. But for us, we're a little bit more liberal, because I think we know that our society in New Zealand is not overly violent. We're a little bit more liberal with giving our children a bit more of a violent game, as long as we ground them and say, this is not real, what you're playing is completely fictional. You're going to play this game, but you don't do this shit when you go out on the playground. Alright?
Yeah.
So, I guess it that also plays in with it. So, I mean, it is a hard thing, because you're going to have that one kid that's just not being told the boundaries, right? And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And regardless of whether they play the game or not, they would have issues. And that's the thing. And those are the kids you've got to worry about, but they're not,
Very cool.
Not
Very
much
cool.
you can do about that.
Hey, I'm gonna wrap that up there, because I don't want to take too long in this.
Yeah,
Censorship's a very broad and very
topic,
political topic as well. It's, and we do sort of see a lot of it. Things on the news about censorship and all that stuff. So, man, what do you think? Let us know if you want.
We won't censor it.
We won't censor it.